Hi, this is Pearl and welcome to my channel. Today I have a process video for you using the Felicity Jane Madison kit. This picture is of my third son snowboarding. It's going to go in his album. So some of these may look familiar. The design may look familiar as well, but all these layouts are going into separate albums, so it's not really going to matter that they're pretty similar. So I'm going to do the T design again, except flipped on its side. And so I took the striped paper there and I cut it to about 3 inches because I like to do in thirds. So I could have cut it to 4 inches, but I wanted the intersection of the T to be right where he is. So I went ahead and marked with a pencil where my journaling was going to go, and I typed using my We Are Memory Keepers typecast, and I wrote, Uni, you refused to go into snowboarding school, saying you wanted to snowboard with me. The first day was a challenge. You would dramatically fall and be whining. Then the second day was a miracle, 0 whining, and you were leading the pack. So after I type that, I'm going to erase the markings that I had on there. I adhere down the striped paper as well as the, what do you guys call this? The strip. I went ahead and took it to my sewing machine and sewed a line through there. Now I'm going to be backing up my photo of my son. I'm cutting bits and pieces here and there. I just like to take the scraps and adhere it to the back of my picture. I'm using my 9.5-inch tonic scissors. Those are so awesome. Now I'm going to adhere it to the back of this wood grain photo. And thank God for repositionable tape, right? I put this against the wood grain photo. Cardstock, excuse me. I'm going to cut the edges of this wood grain as well using my Caterpillar Pro. You can't see that, it's just right off to the left hand side. And then I'm going to adhere it to this leaf kind of a page. Then I'm adhering it to this scrap piece of paper with the flowers on it. This is from the middle of the last layout or the first layout I did, where I cut out the middle of the page and use the cardstock as a border. Cutting that down, have more scraps, and then I'm going to put it also more layers. I'm using this gingham, olive green gingham, and this is from when you receive the kit, it has a label for what kinds of papers are in there, and I just cut those down to use them as layering pieces as well. Now this polka dot is going to be my last layering big piece anyway, and I'm cutting that using the Caterpillar Pro on the side. And then I think I'm going to start adhering it down. So if you look, I adhered it down, and I am putting my son right where the intersection of the T goes. And that's a design principle, to lead your eye right to him. Now I'm using the alphas from Felicity Jane. I don't remember the name of the alphas, and I'll have a link down below if they're still available. I'm using the big alphas for leader, and I'm using the alphas that came with this Madison kit to right of the pack. And I'm going to put that title right on the top right, and I'm justifying it to the right, and I'm hoping that the leader is going to be on the white cardstock instead of on the layer of the T on top. So I adhere the picture down. I'm going to use these tweezers to put the alpha of my title down, because these are teeny tiny puffy stickers, which I love, that came in the Madison kit. But my fingers can't manage them, so I had to use the tweezers. Now I'm using the Stampin' Up! Foam adhesive to pop up the corners of my picture and the layers to give it added dimension. And then I'm going to start embellishing. Now for the embellishment, I had fussy cut a bunch of flowers from one of the cardstock that came. I also have more layering that I want to do on the top left hand side, and I'm going to stick that in as well, the flower piece. I just want to make sure that there isn't a gap between the top of that layer and the right hand side, so that there's like a gap, in between. but I flipped that over so that more of the flowers will show. Okay, so that worked out there. Putting more foam adhesive. Now I'm going to go through my die cut pack and try to decide what I'm going to use. I decide to use that tag to cover the left hand side of the title. I'm going to use a crochet thread and thread the label. I'm also going to cut the label in half so I can use the other half as a layering piece in another layout. And I go ahead and stick that down, and it fits perfectly to the left side of the title. Wish I could say that was planned, but it was not. So I'm cutting more pieces of the tag and I'm layering it to the bottom right hand corner of the layout just so it peeks out to the bottom right. I also am going to put that to the left hand side of the layout, and those are going to be my 3 embellishment clusters. Top left of the picture, bottom left of the picture, and bottom right of the picture. Now I'm going to staple this mustard heart onto this circle that says story, and I'm going to use my tiny attacher for that. And then I'm going to adhere the circle down to the bottom right hand corner of the photo. I'm going to take the the flowers that I fussy cut, and I'm going to cut it in half to use as 2 embellishment clusters. I'm going to put one to the bottom right hand corner. I'm going to adhere that down and then use some of the foam tape to pop that up. Then I'm going to put the other half of that cluster to the top left hand corner and use the foam adhesive to pop that flower up as well. Then I'm going to look for something to put to the bottom left hand corner cluster, and I find this label. I am going to use Stays On ink because this label is slickery. So I go ahead and date stamp that, and then I'm going to adhere that to my photo. But before I do that, I decide to add this flower to the corner of that date stamp, and I'm going to staple that on. I'm also going to find another label, or no, that's not what I want to say, tag that I'm going to use. It has a fish tail, and there the red and white striped one, and I'm going to put that, layer that under the date stamp. But before I do that, I'm going to thread it with crochet thread just to add a little bit more visual interest. So once I go ahead and adhere both of those down, I'm going to look for a flower cluster, to put on the bottom left hand corner of the photo just to balance everything out. Now remember that the eye likes to look in 3 places, so it takes you around the layout, so that's why I have 3 clusters there. I decide to put that heart label and I staple it twice to add visual interest to that as well. So I'm looking at it and I'm noticing that I need something else in the bottom left hand corner. So I go ahead and look for a flower piece, a bigger flower piece, and I went ahead and adhere that down. And then I go to my black Heidi Swap, and again I forget to cover my photo. Oh, I don't know why I keep forgetting to do that. So I go ahead and ink it, and then I'm going to use the mustard gold. Is that what it's called again? Mustard gold Nouveau drops, and I'm going to put those 3 drops onto the 3 embellishment clusters, and then I'm going to call my layout done. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.